Good evening, everyone. Thanks for stopping in. Dan, I'll rely on you just because gone. Oh, it's opening windows in the wrong place. That's cool. Okay, I'll just do it. I mean, it's casual. I'll just do it from here. We can go through. That's fine. But yeah, I'll rely on you just to keep an eye on the chat if that's cool. Let me know if anyone has any questions, and if you do, feel free to just hop on the mic. That's no problem. So I'm just going to get started. I'm going to provide a bit of an overview of what this season is, what to expect, just kind of based on who I see joining us this evening. I may or may not have seen you in the Clever Lake school yet, so some of this might be a bit of a repeat if you have access to the school, but if you haven't, then I want to make sure that you have some info on what to expect and what's included in this season. So it's going to be a two-part season. And so the first phase of our parkour season is very similar to, if you've joined in the past, to our build challenges seasons, where you have a time frame, you have your build prompt, maybe a template, but I think normally we just give you the prompt, and then like a submission window through by which you need to have your build completed by. So this is going to operate very similar to that, in which you have our there's the parkour season template, and this is from where your students can start to build their parkour course. Now, phase 2 of the season is going to be optional, but it's kind of a fun add-on where all of the student-created parkour obstacle course maps are going to be available to run for any teams that want to participate in more of the speed running phase. So it is entirely asynchronous. There's a bunch of ways you can participate. To give you an overview of what the kind of formula looks like for your students, there is our parkour course. That the parkour course content is available as part of the Clever Lake school that we have access to for this season. But the core foundation to what your students will be doing this season is they'll have a build template. They have the build prompt where they're trying to align with the Winter Olympics and trying to make an obstacle course around that. And then they have what's called the parkour construction kit. And these are a series of blocks that will allow you to determine the starting point to your obstacle course, any checkpoints you want to place, and the ending point. And then there's this Parkour World Coder web tool that pretty much makes it into a functional world. So I'll give you a bit of a demonstration of what that looks like in a little bit. But so to start things off, we do have, as I was saying, access to a course, and maybe I'll just hop over there because what this course is intended to do is it's intended to give you all of the resources that you need and to guide you session by session to give you what you need to participate through the season. So all of you, as soon as you register, you are given instructions to register and gain access to the Clever Lake School and the parkour course. And then from here, we have the onboarding video that just kind of takes you through an overview of the season. We have kind of a bit of what I'm explaining right now in our coaches meeting where I'm talking a bit about it, but we also have some videos that kind of show what it looks like to use the build template and to place the parkour construction blocks and to output like a functioning parkour world. So we have some video resources for you here. We have access to everything you need. So there's the parkour build template, which in this case, like OC, we have kind of a custom, it's like a customized version of the Clever Lake build template, just kind of has a few extra details. And it includes kind of a little segment from our sponsor, because the season's been sponsored and funded by Muskoka Woods. So there are some additional things in the OC version of the build template. but you also have access to all of the tools and resources that that you need here in the course. And the way that the course works is that each of these lessons here are intended to be kind of a self-contained um, guide as to like what you can do, like a series of activities that you can do in a single meeting with your students. So, for example, there are some kind of initial heads ups and information here in the getting started. And then from there on, you have lesson one, where you have some teacher prep materials. It'll tell you what the key learning objectives are for this specific lesson, what to expect in each of the activities, any materials and preparation that you need to complete in advance, just so that you and your students are successful. And then beyond that, all of the activities are student facing. So the idea here is whether you want to, allow your students, like take them through the onboarding process and give them access to the school. I'll leave that to your discretion because it might vary from district to district. I know that we do have a teacher that has onboarded their students and is just allowing them to pace themselves through the course content. But alternatively, if you're kind of concerned about bringing students into the school, all of it is student facing. So I think the intention is just that you can hop into, lesson one, activity one, share your screen on a projector and work through the instructions for that activity. And you can see that there's images, directions for all of that. And so you would just work through, say for lesson one, you'd go through activity 1, 2, and 3. And that's it for your meeting with your students for, say, session 1 or week 1, whatever your cadence is with them. And so you just work through it lesson by lesson, and it'll give you that guidance. Now, at the moment, there is only the content for the build phase. The intention is not to overwhelm you with additional things to do and things to worry about for the racing phase until we actually unlock the racing phase. So we're waiting until the end of our build window, where you have lessons guiding you through each step up until that point. So that's the course that everyone has access to. There are a couple resources within the course that you'll be able to share with your students to help them learn more about parkour and help them participate in like this particular season, like the way it works. So the first resource I want to speak to is the build template. This is an in-game world. It's this big mansion that has a bunch of different kind of like tip-off points through which students can start building their obstacle course. You can see just kind of, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, it does show. So yeah, there's like a landing dock that they can start building from. There's an upper deck area here. They can, if they want to, start building up off the higher areas, or I've even had teams in the past that build underneath and through the mountain. Okay, so yeah, just see the question about the same resource in French. What I can say is we do have our videos and our walkthrough videos that are available in the course, and they have subtitles, and we can add in French subtitles to the videos. Something we were actually looking to do, just based on some of the feedback we've gotten, is creating a series of videos to kind of help support you through each of the lessons. So even if the lessons themselves aren't necessarily in French, those videos, we can incorporate French subtitles. So that's kind of a solution. Yeah, your board's all French. Okay. So yeah, that's great feedback too, because we kind of service it and fine tune it as we get that feedback. So that's good to know. That's something I can make sure that we do. Cool. Okay, so moving forward. So this is the exterior of the mansion. Then here we have the interior of the mansion. And the cool thing about the interior of the mansion is that it's not necessarily intended to create, like your students aren't really intended to build within the mansion. But instead it has a series of kind of learning references that they can use to help while they are building. So One of the walls is a reference wall. It has, we can see here, it's kind of like a 3x3 grid of different themes, different kind of like biomes, and the block palettes that are used to build them. So like if your students kind of have a particular idea that, in terms of like how they want to build their parkour course and they need kind of help and thinking about like building a builder's palette, it can help out with that. There's also a build materials wall, which just incorporates a bunch of different commonly used blocks and items for parkour courses. So in some of the more popular parkour courses that you might see, or like students might see online or on the Minecraft marketplace, they take advantage of, like slippery blocks like ice and climbable blocks. And you might have blocks with varying heights to add or make things easier. So yeah, just kind of another reference wall for different build materials that they can think about and consider as they are building out their course. And then something that'll be really important, because this is kind of separate from what a lot of students are familiar with and used to, is all of the, I'd say, kind of external or proprietary tools, and how to access them and how to use them. So I know it is a little bit tiny, but this top slide here is reviewing the different parkour construction blocks and what they do. It also shows you how to find them in your inventory, and then some instructions for how to use the Parkour World Coder and the link to access it. So it's just helpful because your students in most cases are going to want to just like hop into the world, take off and start building. And so there are these kind of internal in-game references that they can use to help guide them as they're working through that. So I was talking a bit about these parkour construction blocks, and just to show in-game what it looks like between when a world is pre-processed and when it's post-processed. We have in the pre-processed world, so this is what your students will first gain access to when they open the build template, are these blocks in their inventory. And so all they essentially are markers for where the kind of parkour / obstacle course functions are intended to go. So we can see here that there's a block that determines when a player opens up a post-process world, like where they spawn, where a player can overlap with to start the course. And we can see over here when it's post-processed, we see a little green and white checkered flag. There is a yellow checkpoint, which you can place as many as you want. They'll just place checkpoints in your world. And then a course end block that determines the end of your course. Now, what I would like to do, I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment, is I'm just going to get an example from previous seasons that shows an example of what it looks like pre-processed versus post-processed. And in the meantime, while I'm just loading this up, if anyone has any questions just regarding, like, none of this is making sense, or it's making sense, but you're just not sure how to access certain things, or any questions or concerns regarding the timeline, feel free to just pop them in chat while I get this ready. Okay. I'll share my screen again. I'm not seeing any questions yet. Hopefully that's a good sign. Either that, or I totally get it. It's a new game mode for Minecraft, so I also totally understand if you're just trying to absorb what's going on. Okay, so this is a copy from an earlier season that I supported with running. The theme, so like the OC theme that we're running with for this season ties in with the Winter Olympics. We have a specific prompt and rubric that students will be building according to. Okay, just want to address the question real quick. So Fred, you're asking, for the speedrunning portion, is it that they're only speedrunning their own maps or all the other qualified teams? So that's a great question. The way that it is going to work is that similar to kind of like what we've done in the past with build challenges, where there's like a judging and a scoring element, and we kind of determine like top teams from that. It'll work in a similar way, where, you know, for phase one, students build their parkour courses. We will then judge and score them, and the highest ranking parkour courses, there'll be maybe, hello, sorry, my toddler is checking in. So the phase one, we will determine a handful of the top scoring parkour maps from team submissions. And the reason we'll do a handful is because there will be an automated leaderboard that is tracking the fastest scores and the fastest speed runs. So we wouldn't want to have too many, because it just means that there would be too many maps that students would have to make sure that they ran. And it might not give them enough time to really hone in on like specific maps and improve their scores. I think the plan is still to release all submitted student maps to our teams, just if they want to check it out. But in terms of like the actual like leaderboards that are incorporated as part of the racing phase, it'll be a handful of selected students, and teams will get to race against all of those. Cool. Okay, so moving forward, this was a prior season that I helped support. So they didn't have any particular theme or rubric they were building against. So the theme that they went with was like a zombie apocalypse. This was probably one of my favorites of the season. We do have a mascot platform, so they got to build out their Eagles mascot, which was cool. And so the team placed their world spawn here. And so what we'll see once I load into a post-process version of the map is me as the player. This is where I'm going to spawn, is right where this block was placed. And they want the course to start here. So this is where they place their parkour start block. And I can just show you real quick that the blocks are available in their inventory. It's just part of the template that you'll download. So it should have these blocks installed by default. And so they place their parkour start there. So that's where the course will begin. They have various checkpoints placed throughout the map just to kind of support with if you fall or get knocked out from your health. And then the end of the parkour course is up here on the moon after they've kind of ridden the rocket to reach space. So I thought it was kind of a cool demonstration there. So what I'm going to do is show you the post-processed world. Here we go. And so what this is going to show you is this is going to show you that same world that students built after they processed it through the world coder. So, so like I was saying, the world coder is kind of like an external middleware tool where it just does a bunch of the background coding so that students don't have to worry about that. And it takes the world markers that they placed and it makes them into functional blocks or spaces. So where they had the parkour world spawn place, that's where I spawned in. Was this team grade 7's 8? I think these guys were grade 7. They're grade 7 because yeah, this season was 6 to 8. I think we had a few like grade 5s in the mix there too. But the cool thing is honestly like the level of quality is like all over the place in terms of like we had some younger grades that outputted some great maps. And then some of the older grades, obviously they're a little bit more experienced. And so they were able to create some awesome things too. So after it goes through, yeah, for sure. So after it goes through the world coder, in addition to the parkour markers that are now functioning, what we can also see is in the action bar in the middle bottom there, it shows you previous time, and it also shows you your high score along the right side. So if I were to start the course, we can see that I now have a timer that is starting to run. We can see here there's a checkpoint. We kind of have these glowing yellow spaces. And the way this works is by default, if I haven't touched a checkpoint yet, what would happen is I would just respawn to the initial course start. But because I hit that checkpoint, it brings me back to the most recent checkpoint that I collided with. And so I can kind of quickly show you as I run through the course. The cool thing about this course too is I'm kind of going with the way that I know is fastest, but they built a whole ton of like side areas too. I got caught in some web. I'm stuck. And so this timer, the way it works is that these worlds are actually intended to be opened and run either individually or as a group. So either, I on my own can work on my own time by myself, or if I'm like together and we have like an esports meeting currently going on and my team and I want to all practice together, what we can do is it'll actually track everyone's scores individually along the right side. I'm getting a little bit ahead of ourselves just because that won't be as relevant until students are in the race phase. And we can see here it shows new high score, and then my high score is now on the right side. My previous time is on the left. So just kind of trackers. And it shows like, okay, Blaze P, like that's my high score. If I had 2 or 3 other players in here, it would keep track of everyone's highest score based on runs that we've completed. And it will save those scores. So if you even play it, leave it, and come back, we'll see here that it'll still be there. Well, it loads. Here we go. So there it is. So your students can maintain the same world. They can work on improving their times and all that, and that'll update accordingly. So I'm going to hop out back to here. So I've been talking about this world coder. This is what it looks like. This is it's a web tool, so I can actually just open it over here. I believe I have it under, yeah. So I made a tiny URL for it. All of this is shared in the Clever Like School, just so you have an easy way to access it. But the way it works is so you can download the Museum of Parkour here. I was saying earlier, the Parkour build template. So this is the default season Parkour build template that Clever Like uses. Ours is separate. So ours has been shared with you because we have that custom sponsored one that has been created. So that's going to be the one that you all are using. And so the way that this works is you would just go to choose your MC World file as your students have completed it and place their parkour markers. They would upload it, it'll process it, and you would download it from there. There are instructions, there's videos in terms of how that works and what it looks like. So I won't go through the process now just because it can take a sec to load. So I think the only other thing I kind of want to show you is just, I showed you the zombie apocalypse world, but here are just some other examples of student builds. We've had some really creative ones that take place in like caverns and caves. We have some that are just kind of built out into the sky. So yeah. There is also the Museum of Parkour that I had just mentioned. And what I think I'm going to do, where did I leave that? World Coder page. Because I was going to open the Museum of Parkour for you. So here, let me just pull it back up. So the Museum of Parkour is a resource. It's not mandatory by any means. It is incorporated into some of the lessons that are available in the Clever Like School in the course as you work your way through it. But what it is it's just a series of kind of mini parkour challenges. And so your students can use this in a number of different ways. They can use it to get better at parkour. They can also use it to kind of inspire them, like kind of understand different ways that you can build parkour jumps and challenges. So the red hallway here is the legend hallway. I would obviously recommend starting in the casual hallway where it's easiest, and then have your students kind of work their way up from there. But if they want to take on the challenge and go straight to legend, they can. The first one, I'm a little unpracticed with this one, but like it shows you how difficult it can be. So you have to go from block to block, opening the shulker boxes to get across to the target. Have some other ones where there's lamps and whatnot that have very small hitboxes. So again, there's a bunch of different kind of themed jumps and activities. And so it's just helped to help them learn like different types of parkour jumps and mechanics. And again, we do have these build materials that are here in the center just to show different types of blocks that you can use. They might have different hitboxes. Something like cake is neat because you can actually take away from it to give it a super slim hitbox. And I got rid of it. I can't get it back. That's okay. So it's just one of the available resources that are available to you and your students. And then the other resource that is available to you and your students come the running phase is Clever Like's Parkour Up map. So this is a map that they actually have published to the Minecraft marketplace. It is like a really challenging parkour obstacle course. And so it's just intended to challenge your students with getting better, kind of in the same way that the museum is, but it's a little less forgiving. If any of you are familiar with like the Only Up game that was like really popular a few years back, where you have to scale like really high, and if you fall at any point, there's a chance that you just fall back to the beginning. It's similar to that. And so I think that pretty much wraps us up. So it does normally cost money, but we made it available as part of the season, just as kind of a value add. So like when your students are going through the racing phase and they want to go through it, like they have access to it just as part of the program. But normally, yeah, it is available. Like if you were to go to the Minecraft marketplace, it is like a paid map that's available there. So I think that's pretty much it on the season. The best thing I can recommend, honestly, is if you haven't already registered, once you register, you'll get the onboarding instructions for the Clever Like School. And like I said when I was going through it, the Clever Like School is intended to guide you step by step through different activities that you can host with your students to kind of upskill them and prepare for submission come later next year. And Dan, I'm not sure if based off that, if there was any feedback, any notes that you had?
Yeah, no. So I just wanted to mention about the structure of the season. Blaze mentioned that it's split up into two phases. We also currently we have reduced the time frame for when the season is to be completed. So the season has already started. Materials have been released. Teams are already going. And the deadline for submissions currently is, I believe, the first week of February, February 6th, which is a shorter window than in previous years for OC competitions. That being said, we are currently looking at extending the season back to our normal timelines. For the time being, we're going to go with February 6th. That's what's currently on our calendar, but it probably will get extended. But even if it gets extended, we do have a registration cutoff point, and that's for getting people onboarded into the Clever Lake School and making sure everything is running. So if you are intending and participating in this year's season, even though we're going to increase the timeline, there is a deadline for registration, which I believe is the end of December, or it could be the first week of January. I don't recall. After that, we won't take team registrations because then you'll be kind of too far behind, and we'll have to onboard you onto Clever Like and that kind of thing. So making that decision sooner rather than later, if you are going to participate in this season, is getting that registration done before the deadline, so your team has access to all the materials and you have enough time to go through all the materials. But other than that, I don't think there was anything else.
I do see Fred's question, if you're registering your school or every individual team from your school.
So there's actually two steps to the registration. Every school can register up to 5 teams, and and each team can have, I believe it's a maximum of 5 players. So when you initially register, you are just registering how many teams your school is entering into the season. And then when you go to actually submit your video in your world at the end of the build season, then you have to give us the names of the students on the team and the team name and that kind of thing. But when you initially register, it's just how many teams will be participating. And I think we did, I don't know if we mentioned that we are doing an interprovincial competition again like last year. So yeah, students will have the chance to compete against other students from other provinces and do the speed running on their maps as well. For some interprovincial competition, and then the best maps from each province will also be judged by a national panel. And it doesn't really affect the provincial sort of qualifications or anything like that, but it's a separate level to the competition. Your students could advance to national recognition if they pass the first stage.
And Fred, I'm just seeing your comment regarding just having to reshape your program. So if there's any feedback or any support that you need with that, make sure to send it our way. Like I imagine it you're not alone in that, just because the kind of difference in content and how the season's running. So we want to know what those potential pain points are, just so we can help alleviate them and help make sure that as many teams and coaches can participate as possible. Angela's asking in terms of high school inclusion, Dan.
Yeah, so this is the first year that we've actually opened up Minecraft to high school teams. That's based on previous requests from coaches at the high school level, and mostly that's like grade 9 and 10 students. Ideally, depending on the number of registrations, if we have sufficient registrations from high school, they will be competing in a separate sort of division. Most likely, however, my suspicion is there won't be enough high school teams that will enter this year, and so they'll still be competing with our grade 7 and 8 sort of teams. When we do sort of also take into account like the level of the students submitting an entry when they do submit it, so that a grade 5-6 student is going to kind of be judged according to a grade 5-6 ability, and a grade 9-10 student is going to be judged according to a grade 9-10 sort of ability, so that there really shouldn't be an advantage just because you're older. Any other questions? Oh yes, 100%.
Yeah.
There are some grade 5s who can definitely blow some people out of the water.
I just the other night there was kind of a for fun work thing that we were doing when we were competing against some grade 5s over in Australia on one of the parkour speedrunning maps that's available in the Minecraft library. It was on Blockbeards, and the majority of them were outpacing the majority of our team. So yeah, like I think that it's perfectly within the realm of possibility that they're capable of competing with the older grades, no problem.
I hope it's okay if I ask like this. What do you do with these kids? Do you still evaluate, like compare them to the lower grades, or do you bump them up?
To the like grade 5s who are amazing.
Yeah.
So they are still submitting it in the elementary category, and so we use our judging rubrics um, to kind of assess the criteria based on the challenge. So we don't actually know what student did what necessarily on the map that gets submitted from the team. So we don't bump them up in terms of moving up to a higher division, because a team could be composed of multiple students from multiple grades at multiple abilities, right? So we look at the overall sort of submission from the team, um, and that's how we've approached it traditionally.
Okay, so I don't know if you recognize my name or not.
Of
We've
course, I do.
spoken
Yeah,
before.
I know you do.
Okay, I'm glad. Just to let you know, I launched my my Minecraft. I called it esport, but I'm going to do it in class as well. I've had an interest of 150 teams. So I don't
Wow.
know. I don't know if we could maybe have a little meeting, because I was kind of panicking and I was figuring maybe I should go talk to Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's set something up and we'll chat and see how we can make that work.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
And congratulations. That's amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you, because it was rolling in, and my boss was looking at it too. She's going, "Did you think it was going to be this big?" And I'm like, "Nope." But that's good because we're a French board as well, so I've got to do everything in French. And I appreciate the whole comment with the videos, but you know what? I learned to play in English with my kid, and I'm trying to learn it in French. And even if you put French subtitles, I'm not convinced the blocks will be properly named.
Mhm.
The block names are wild in French. I don't know if Fred has. Yeah, okay, so you too. So thank you for the effort though, but it's something else in French.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's good to know. I mean, I something I can recommend based on familiarity and comfort level, but I mean it's kind of one of the areas that I've found, and it might still be hit or miss, like it's not going to be 100%, but I've like differentiated with like AI translation before. So like even if you want to take, because like a lot of the content that's in the Clever Like school, you can just copy and paste it over, it's like a rich text field, so you can just paste it over like regular text, and use AI to translate, or even like something like OneNote where it has like its immersive reader, and translation capabilities. So I mean, I know these aren't. I would love to be able to just offer a solution where it translates the page. I think that's something on the roadmap for the school, but I want to at least try to like propose some potential solutions for the meantime.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Any last questions? All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. Good luck at the tournament, Angela. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, either by email or Discord. We're easily accessible that way. And otherwise, hope to see your teams in competition, and looking forward to a great season this year.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night, everybody.